Okay, I want to welcome everybody. We are going to work today in our interim report. I want to start a few things before we start filling out the report. I know the date in the report, it says December 31st, but as you know, I'm the one who has to give it on December 31st. So please, guys, if you can send it by this Friday, so I can collect all the information and start processing all that to do the analysis and send my report. So thank you so much. I know it gets confusing, but please, let's work on that this week so we can, have the date by the end of the month for me. For you, December 13th, we are going to go through all the three parts of the report. I'm going to start with part 1 and part 2. Anybody else who are receive SFAF, that is the Student Affordability Fund, can stay with me at the end of the webinar. But if you are only doing Feeding Futures, just feel free to just say goodbye and then you can go. We are going to be going and I'm going to try to explain each one of them. So if you have your numbers together, we can do it all. Janet will be helping me in the chat. And let's start. I'm going to share my screen. And let me see. Okay. I think I'm able to. Did you guys can see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start. I'm going to try to go right away so we can use our full hour and with other questions and anything. So there are 3 tabs. As you can see, we have here contact information. We have 22, 24, 25 Feeding Futures. And then we have the last tab that is for SFAF. We're going to work with the first tab. Everybody who is in this call should be filling out first, the first tab. Please fill it out because I know sometimes we forget and it's very hard for me to find who is the owner of this report. So I'm going to fake here and I'm going to write my name. So please write your names. And then I'm going to write my title. Oh, well, actually, I should be writing my full name. Please don't give me. Okay. And then you're going to write your email or the person who is the person who will be my contact for this. And I'm going to write my phone number or the phone number that I can call in case I need to just do any questions or any follow-up. In this case, I'm writing FISA. So if you need FISA number, feel free to just copy from now. Okay, so as you can see, there is a drop-down menu here. So please select your school. Once you select your school, they will auto populate in the next page. So we will gonna select one school. I'm gonna use a school that is not receiving Feeding Futures just for the sake of this exercise. So I'm gonna choose this school. And then these are just instructions that we know. I'm going to be explaining these, so you don't need to read one by one, but in case you want to go later, let's do that. And I'm going to move now to the next page. So this is when everybody will need to fill it out, okay? It's important to remember that this report is an interim report. So that means that it's only from September, from this school year. So it will be from September to November 30th. So I have 2 different options because I know some schools already start spending your funding and some schools haven't spent any funding yet. So if you haven't spent any funding, I will give you what you're going to have to do. But if you are spending, you will have to continue with me in the rest. So let's see that this is my school. We already know. If you have your school and you already put it, this gray box should have already a number. That is your notional allocation or your final allocation, actually. Some schools carry over from last year some amounts. So if you are carrying over, please write it here. And you will see that also line number 9 will change. If you didn't carry over, I think there was maybe like around 20 schools, the only ones who carry over. So most of us will be not putting anything on line number 8. Okay, so I'm going to delete it. Just that was just an example. And if you haven't spent any money at all, you say, I haven't used anything, that's basically the thing that you need to fill. And you're going to go and you're going to fill line 40. That is your enrollment. That's the only things you need to do if you haven't spent any money. Okay. And then you can please save it and send it in a separate email. That's if you haven't spent any money. Now, because most of us that are in this call probably spend a little bit, we're gonna go now through all the rest of the form. Once you have your allocation, that it will be here, like all the gray cells are gonna be some or gonna be auto-populate. So don't worry about them. You shouldn't be changing them. Actually, you're not allowed. When you click, you will see that it doesn't let me, well, this one is open, so, but it won't let you change. So I'm gonna go, and to make it very easy for all of us, what we're gonna be doing is I'm gonna be calling by lines. So for example, line number 25, line number 26, line number 27. So that will be easier for us to just follow through the report. Did anybody, I haven't read the questions, Janet, did I need to be aware of anything in the questions?
No, we got it covered. Keep going.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we're gonna start with line 15, that is about food. Food will have two different categories. The first one that is on line 24, that is organizations, and the second one will be line 31st, that is food suppliers. We're going to start with organizations, that is the line 24. For organization, we understand anything that is outside you. So for example, everybody who is using school fruits and vegetables, or the VC, it has two names, but school fruits and vegetables, if you're using that, please write it, and then you're gonna write the amount. So for this, I'm gonna write, for example, $400. You can see now my 23 is gonna be changing according to what I am writing. Anything that is non-profit or any other organization. So for example, in this case, I wrote Salvation Army. You can have maybe other organizations that are like that. It's just an example. And I will write that I spent $100 because Salvation Army gave me some sandwiches. So that is any money that you spend on caters. Okay, any cater that you already use, any cater that you are using or is part of your program, from Feeding Futures only, so that will be another 300. And I'm making up the numbers, probably you have less or more. And anything that is a local restaurant, pizza place, Subway, Tim Hortons, your local Greek restaurant, any kind of restaurants. And I will really ask if you can please only write local restaurant. You don't need to describe how much money you spend in each. So for example, if you have Domino's Pizza and you also have a Greek restaurant and you have like another restaurant, you can combine all that and put it just as a one item, as a local restaurant. For this report, because it's a high-level report, we don't need as many details. For the year-end report, we will be asking for more specific. But for this one, we're just gonna make it very simple. Any local restaurant, just put it together. If you're using juice, I know some of you guys are using juice companies or smooth companies, just put it all together. And then I'm gonna say that I spent $200. And then any other services like online, like Munch and Lunch, the Lunch Lady, all those kind of services that are also online platforms will enter as your third-party providers. So we're gonna make also a number here. I'm gonna say that I spend this. You may have only one, or you may not have anything in this category. But remember, this is organizations that are outside your school that are providing you food with. Any questions until here? If you want to unmute yourself, please unmute if I cannot see you, but if I see you.
Rocio, I'll just read it out loud, and I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. Where does somebody enter in things such as paper plates, cups, etc.?
I'm going to put that as a small appliances later in the report. That will enter in your kind of like the small appliances. So then just hold it a little bit. We will be moving that into later.
And Rocio, sorry, can I ask one question too, please?
Absolutely.
We need to put our school name and number in the document title, or it like name it after ourselves?
Yes, please put please save it as your school name and school number after, because I have few schools that have the same name, so it's very confusing when I receive one just like saying, or with the name of that I give it to you. So yes, please save it like that. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Pardon
Yes,
me.
absolutely.
I'd like to ask about the formatting. So my school doesn't provide Excel. We use Google Sheets. If I use Google Sheets to edit this and save it as an Excel file, is that acceptable, or do I have to find
Yeah.
a copy of Excel?
I will be able to do it. I know sometimes for Excel, sorry, for Google Sheets, one app. I know there is a little bit of a glitch sometimes in Google Sheets, but if you are struggling so much, don't worry. You can call me and we can do it together. But I'm pretty sure I received already a few people who shared through Google Sheets and they were able to do it without problem.
Great, thank you.
But
No
Lucio,
problem.
can we just say they're doing it on Google Sheets, but then they're saving it as Excel, right?
Sasha?
Oh, yes. Well, there is an option in like on Google Docs to download as an XLSX file, which I think is the Excel format. So probably would work.
Yeah, I think that's what we want. It's just keep in mind, please, Rocio receives 190 of these, all in a flood. And so when they're like to like, it's much easier to then for her to compile them all. So as close as an Excel actual sheet as you can get, please.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Yes. Okay, we're gonna continue with food suppliers. So food supplier will be everything that you spend to make food on site. So anything that your teachers buy to make food on site, everything that you are doing snacks, anything like that. So I'm gonna give you, and I remember, I think Tracy was the one who was asking about plates and everything. If that is included in your grocery receipt, and you can just keep it as there. If you just buy a specific, let's say that you have a run to Costco to buy just plates, then you can separate it. But if it's that included in your grocery bill, let's just keep it this time in your grocery bill. In the year-end report, they're gonna ask you for that more specific. So remember, this is a more high level, so we don't need to give so many explanation about this. It's just very general where we are at this time. So for food suppliers, sorry, we are now on grocery stores. You very kindly, I appreciate when you guys give me all the names of your grocery stores, like I'm going to Save on Food, so I'm going to this. Please just keep everything in one together. Even if you're buying in different stores, let's try to combine everything for this report and put it just as a one category. Because when we upload this into database, it's easier just to have compile as a grocery store. So please just write that. So in this case, let's see that I buy my snacks and I buy all my fruits and everything. So I'm gonna write $500 here. I put Cisco and Gordon Food as an example for distributors. So that's not a grocery store, that's a person who delivers food to you. That is not considered a grocery store. So these are just few options. I know few people have or are doing some of these. I'm having this partnership with these organizations and other ones that look the same. So this will be, I'm gonna write $600. You may have it, you may not have it. So just for example. And then I also include here local farms. You guys can have local bakeries, local farms, but let's just keep it also as a one category. So you're having local farms. You don't need to write me which ones, just write local farms. The same if you're using your local bakery, you can do local bakery. And that will be also one of the categories. So, sorry. So I'm gonna put here $100 and then $100. So you can see my number in line 23 will be adding everything that I am putting here. Okay. So did everybody is fine with food suppliers? Any questions here before we move on into the next section? I didn't hear anything. So I hope everybody's doing well. Okay, I'm gonna move now into, yes, Mohammed.
I just have a question here. We're planning to start our breakfast program right after the winter break. So in that case, I'm just gonna leave this blank or
Yes.
okay.
Nothing that no plans yet. It's only what you spend until November 30. So if you're gonna planning to start your program in January or in the next term, don't do anything yet. We will report that at the end of the year.
What about if we purchased gift cards but not handed them out to families yet?
If you buy it before November 30th, yes.
And if it's gift cards going towards families, we're not using them to buy food for our school, is that in a different category or is that in the food suppliers?
It will come just in the next block. So yes, and then we will be reporting about that very short after this. So I'm gonna move to line 40.
Can I just ask a question? So we ordered from a fruit truck that delivers right from the Okanagan. Where would that fall under? Would that be local farms? Because it's coming from the farmers. It's not like a grocery store or anything.
That will be local farm because it's still not, yes, that will be a local farm.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. That will be also, is considered a distributor, so that will be considered into that description. Yes. Anybody else have any questions about those categories? Nope. Okay. If you have questions, please put it on the chat if you are just not saying it loud. Okay, we're gonna continue with the next one. So the next one is line number 40. That is the enrollment that you have. This is, remember, is your head count enrollment. So everybody who is attending to your school, that will be a head count. I will write, for example, I have 120 kids in my school, okay? And then we're gonna do, this is line 41 is the percentage that are actually using Feeding Futures, okay? So I'm gonna give you two different answers for this because I know there are two different situations in here. There are some schools that are really targeting these for specific. So for example, you're using your grocery gift cards and you're sending it to maybe, maybe, I don't know, 20 people or a very clear percentage of your population. So if that is you, please write exactly the percentage that, oh, not exactly, but approximately the percentage that you're using it to. If you are saying I'm giving lunches, but I'm giving lunches just to this amount of children per week, so you may be able to do a very specific percentage. Now, I have other schools that have the situation where they are providing snacks as an open access. So that means that everybody is welcoming to grab a snack. So if that is the case, for this report, we're gonna be writing 100%. If your snacks or your food is open access, that means for everybody, please write your 100%. So that means that you are offering to everybody in your school. Now, if you are doing community lunches, because I know some of you guys are doing not lunches every week or anything else, but you are doing community lunches and you also invite your full community, that will be considered also open access. So please keep in mind that for this report, we're gonna be doing 100%. There will be different things for later, but for this report. Anybody have questions about the percentage and enrollment?
Yeah, we go.
Yes, Peter.
If we're doing it both ways, what's the best? Like it's open to everybody, but we specifically target some families. So are we putting 100% in there?
I will recommend that if you have a percentage that you're targeting, use your percentage that you're targeting.
Perfect.
Because I know your school is more specific. Yeah. So if you know the percentage, do it. If you are not, and you're saying, we just do, there are some schools that they do only snacks through the full year. So yeah, but in your case or anybody else who is doing both, if you have a percentage, please add the percentage rather than 100%.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
Rocio,
Okay.
I also have a question. So
Absolutely.
we use both gift cards and the meals, etc., and snacks. So the gift cards we focus on strictly the real needy families that we've deciphered. But the snacks and the meal program, that's throughout the whole. So I'm not quite sure again how to do that, to record that.
I think for your case, and I think you and me had chat a little bit. We may wanna put your percentage at this time, just for the grocery cards. I know you're providing food and everything. Do you have the food is provided for everybody? The same is for it's snacks, right?
Snacks and meals is for everyone, but the gift cards is strictly for individual families, like at the 30 percentile.
Okay. Janet, did you have any recommendation about that?
Oh, I love how complicated this gets so quickly. keep in mind that this report goes to government as an aggregate. When you're able to kind of drill down, it does help to paint a clearer picture. So if in your school, if you're saying we target some families for a really specific support, it would be helpful to have that number. But if you don't have that number and you're just giving, open access, then 100% works also. So I guess my answer would be, don't overthink it, but whenever we can get more particular, the better.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you for helping me.
It's
Yes.
not much of an answer though. So
Well,
yeah,
can I
yeah,
maybe
exactly
just
the
make
same.
Janet, can I maybe just make a suggestion in that instance? Because I'm similar. I'm offering snacks and food services to everyone because we could all use some relief with the way that groceries are costing these days. But I'm only giving gift cards to specific families in need at this time of year. So perhaps like there's a way to show that percentage as directly correlates to the gift cards that we're giving down in the other section down here where it says grocery gift cards. Like maybe another line item needs to go there that says percent of population being served by that. Just if we want to drill down there.
Yeah, or put it in the comment, because anything in the
Okay.
comment then Rocio can use. But also, even when you have open access, like a bowl of fruit on the table, not every kid eats every day. So if you kind of know, hey, we bought 2 dozen oranges and we have a school of 50, that means that about half of the kids had an orange because they're all gone. So do your best, people, but you have other things on your mind. Don't stress about it.
Yes, please. Do not stress about it. We're going to try to keep it as, especially for this one that is an interim report that is not as detailed as an year end. Just nobody is going to judge you. There is no wrong answers. So please, thank you so much, Janet. And
we have another really good one. So they have open access for breakfast cereals. People can help themselves, and soup for lunch. Are those considered a breakfast and/or lunch program?
Soup will be lunch and breakfast will be breakfast.
So it is, even though it's just maybe a cup of like ramen noodles and it's available when somebody wants it, that would be lunch.
That will be lunch. Yes, at this time will be lunch. Yes. Yes.
So basically, I mean, regarding our school, like I said, we're gonna start right after the winter break. So at this time, we didn't have to do anything with this document. Is that right?
If you haven't spent any money so far, just please fill the first lines and line number 40 about your enrollment, and that will be it.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. You have the easy one.
That's easy. Okay,
You have
thank
the easy road. Yes,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you very
No
much.
problem. No problem. Okay, so yes, breakfast, is a drop-down menu. So if you offer it, yes. Lunch, anything that is sandwiches, anything that goes there, yes. And the same snacks. You have a yes or a no. Yes, I hear a question, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. It's Shane.
Hi, Shane.
Hi. Quick question. When it talks about do you offer lunch at your school, that's only through Feeding Futures, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So remember, this is only money that you're using from your funding.
Right.
If you are not doing that, just feel free to this. If you are having, for example, milk, I know some schools are offering only milk, that will be considered a snack. I go back again to say, this is a very high end. So don't worry about to put it. If you feel that that milk can be a snack, just put it as a snack. If you feel that it's in the early in the morning and you want to put it as a breakfast, try to put it there. So we are not, unfortunately, this template, it has to be aligned to what the public schools are doing at this time. So it's not as detailed, but also it's not as sometimes independent schools what we're doing. So just be, let's try to accommodate the best you can. We will appreciate it. So thank you so much. Okay, I'm now moving to staff. That will be line 50. And then we're going to move to line 57, 58, 59, and 60. And I'm gonna have Janet helping you with this because this is a little bit, we've been trying to figure out here things. But before I pass my thing to Janet, I want to make sure that we all that something that I really, really encourage everybody to write is the amount that you are paying through Feeding Futures to your staff. So that means not the amount that you, let's say that one of your teachers is working half an hour for your Feeding Futures, and you are paying that staff from Feeding Futures part of their salary. That's what we want. So maybe Janet can help me a little bit more with this.
Excuse me, sorry. I cough right when I get unmuted. Yes, and we are going to ask some of you how you're calculating it so we can just get a sense from the field. But first of all, we had a little bit of a debate amongst ourselves. What's the difference between administration and management professional? And here's how we've decided we're not going to ask you to write it down. So administration is going to be your senior leadership, your principal or head of school. If they're involved and you're paying them part of their salary or giving them extra through Feeding Futures, then you're going to write down that there. Management professional, we're going to say that would be, for example, if you have an office manager that is overseeing this and you're paying part of their salary through Feeding Futures, you'll put them in the manager or professional. Teachers is pretty straightforward. And support staff will be anybody else you're not quite sure where to put them. So if you happen to have a chef that works out of your school and you're paying them through Feeding Futures, you're going to put them in support staff. So first of all, just the categorizations. But then secondly, it's really, really important that you're not looking at head count, how many people, but how much of their day and how much of their salary is being paid for from the Feeding Futures funding. So if all of your people are helping out and nobody is getting paid for from Feeding Futures, you have an FTE of 0. So again, it's back to where is the payment for their services coming from. The FTE is going to need to be calculated based on what your full-time equivalent hours are. Some independent schools have a 7-hour school day, some have an 8-hour school day. You will know your school day, and then you just take on average how much is each of the people in these different categories spending per day on Feeding Futures paid work, and what portion of their full-time job does that equate to? So your answer in that box will be a decimal. And if you have multiple people, you possibly in a really big school could have more than a 1.0 full-time equivalent. But generally in most schools, you're going to have less than a full-time person working on your Feeding Futures program. So if you start adding up, and you're going to see when Rocio puts something in the bottom boxes, it goes to the top box. If you start seeing yourself like, oh, we have 3 full-time people working on Feeding Futures, you've probably calculated wrong because there's just not that much money flowing out to you to support that many full-time salaries under just the Feeding Futures. And so we have a comment in the chat that the amount for staffing should not exceed 10%, and that is correct. That's around the government's request that your staffing cost paid for out of Feeding Futures stays around 10%. If you need to exceed that, talk to Rocio, explain your unique situation, and she's allowed to help you to override it, but you need to talk to her. So if somebody's doing all of this work and you're not paying them from Feeding Futures, again, then you're not counting their hours in this calculation. So Rocio, let's just do a sample. Let's do support staff, and you already have down there 5,200, right?
I have 200 for supporting staff.
Thank you. You have $1. I just have my screen really small. So if you're paying somebody $200 a week extra above and beyond kind of what their normal duties are, how many hours is that buying you? And then how many hours does that equate to what their normal, your amount of hours in a school day? So if that gives you an extra 2 hours every single day, and your normal school day is 8 hours, then it's 2 divided by 8, and your full-time equivalent goes there. But let's have a conversation. How are other people trying to figure out this full-time equivalent? Well, say in the past reports, we've got some really inaccurate numbers on this because we think people are just putting head count. And then you are way beyond the 10% of staffing. Thoughts and comments from folks on how to make this as easy as possible?
I have a question.
Sure.
So we haven't spent this money yet, but next year we are hoping to use Feeding Futures funding for having an individual come into our school to help with like a garden plot. And they're it would be a contractor. Would that be considered staff?
Is that for garden work? Did I hear right?
Yeah, so to run two workshops with our students, first to basically prepare and plant seeds in a garden, and then also to come back in a few months' time to help us harvest the food from the garden. Is that considered staff?
Really, the staff that we are, I mean, I will encourage that the money that you're using for staff is actually for preparing food and for serving food rather than for a garden, because the garden will be only the money that we can use this year for garden is for seeds and soil only, or small tools. So that will be considered, yes. But if you have a staff who is cooking or serving, that's what is considered staff.
Okay. Force, seeds, garden, and tools. Now, does it have to be a member? So another idea that we had was having was either going to a local restaurant or having a chef come into school to teach our students how to cook using locally sourced ingredients. Would that be considered would that fall under the purview of this as well? Could that be considered staff? Having a chef come in and teach our students how to cook?
The food is gonna be distributed to the children who are in need?
Yes.
Because that is always the thing that we have to keep in mind, that if you're having somebody who is cooking or doing things, if the food is distributed to the children who are in need, that could be. Did I am saying it right, Janet?
Yeah, I think we have to be really thoughtful that this is an emergency measure to make sure kids have food on a daily basis. But as educators, we always want to find the value add, teach a man to fish versus just giving him a fish.
Precisely.
So if you're having someone come in and part of what they're doing is preparing food with the students, and then the students who are eating that food, we can stretch it to that. But if somebody's just coming in and talking in general, and there's no actual food being consumed in that lesson, it's not under Feeding Futures. It's under something else that you would pay that person for. If you are having someone come in as like a special guest or a contractor, and there's food being served, you can count it as staff, even if technically they're not on your normal payroll, but they're a human being coming in to support this program. Then the category would be staff. We don't have a category that says contractors.
Okay, so it sounds like a chef coming in, preparing food that's going to be actively consumed by the kids is under Feeding Futures, but having an individual come in to help facilitate starting a garden plot is not.
Correct.
Even though the products of that garden plot would be eaten by the students.
Correct. It's an interesting program because we were quite surprised at how many independent schools wanted to do gardening. Love it, but it's not the intention of this program. So you can do a little bit, like Rocio said, the supplies, the seeds, small tools, but government is looking more at the very immediate need of children are hungry today. How can we make sure that they're not suffering?
Duly noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other question or suggestion about staff? I know that is a little bit complicated sometimes.
I had a quick question
Yes,
about
Rebecca.
the staffing piece. Me and another staff member, we just track the time spent on Feeding Future stuff. So like for me, it averages about 30 minutes a week, depending on what all we're working on. So if we're not having a designated time each week, how do we figure out the FTE for that?
Sure. So 30 minutes a week. And what's your typical school day? Like how much do you work in a school in that week? So if it's 7 hours a day times 5, that's then 35 hours. And so you would take the 30 minutes, half an hour divided by the 35 hours total.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anybody else questions about the staff before we move on? It could be
And this is
questions
another
about,
situation as you're writing it down and you're like, this doesn't seem to make sense. Call Rocio.
yes, we can chat. It's always, I mean, I'm happy always to help you over the phone if your question was not answered right now, or you can email me also if you wanted, but always talking is easier, so please call me.
And we
Okay.
have someone in the chat asking, why are they asking for precise FTE? Part of the answer is, as we mentioned earlier, there's a 10% cap on staffing now. But if people are coming back, especially with the FTE, and then in the comments and saying, we can't actually run this program for very long because of the number of staff it's taking us, that's good for a Rocio to know in terms of advocacy. So they are looking very much at are people, both public and independent schools, using that full 10% and then asking for more because it's impractical? So that's one of the reasons. They want to know, is 10% the right number as a cap? In our opinion, it's not.
It is not. So yes, that's why we want that we get information so we can really, when I write report, to really sustain, and when I have my meetings to say, you know, staffing is one of the one that struggles, we cannot serve people if we don't have help. So yes, please write it. I know it's a little bit extra information and work, but yes, please, that will help us to just put a word towards that. So thank you.
So
Anybody else? Yes.
yeah, just to clarify your last comment, should we be putting in a higher percentage? Because like I know I'll skew it to make it look like 10% is being used, even though it might be a little bit more. So what's your idea here?
So again, down at the very bottom where it talks about, you know, other things we should know and barriers, that's where you put down that although your true staffing cost is higher, which right now you're supplementing from your own budget, the Feeding Futures, you know, adding that into your program actually has higher impact in terms of financial management than what shows on the report.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much for all that. We always appreciate all those comments. That always help me a lot when we go back to the report. Okay, so any other questions? Anything else? Did I miss anything in the chat? I haven't even opened the chat, so sorry about that. But okay, I'm gonna continue if there is no more questions. And then we're gonna move to other, that is line 69, or well, 63, moving into what is happening on this section. So this section has 3 different ones. So here is for everybody who is using grocery gift cards. Here's where we're gonna be putting the numbers. So I put some examples for line 71. I put supplies for food provision, or for the provision of the food. This is always confusing for people, but here is where you write your small appliances, okay? The people who was telling me about the plates and all those kind of things, please write it in this little part. I wrote, for example, the small appliances. I got some microwaves. Maybe I spent $400. You will see that my number changed. Anything that you buy already, if you're planning to buy it, please, if you don't have it yet, don't put it. Just everything that you have already by November 30th. Grocery gift cards, line 72. If you already buy your gift cards, I know a lot of the schools do grocery gift cards for the holidays. If you bought it before November 30th, please report it now. If you haven't bought it, just wait and we will report that in the year-end report. So I wrote, for example, here, grocery cards for first term. And I will write, I don't know, like, sorry, I'm gonna write like 2,000. And then we have also here other security measures that could be hampers, your backpack bodies, anything else that you provide for the schools. I know a lot of the schools are preparing holiday hampers. So if you have that, you put here the amount that you spent in those ones. So I would put that I spent $900. And the last one is garden. I add garden here as an other. Remember, garden will be just for your salt, your seeds, and your small tools. So if you use any of those, I know probably it's not the time yet to do that, but if you already spent something, please add it here. So I'm gonna put $50 for that. Any questions regarding this other section?
Yeah, another great one. But someone's asking, what about mileage paid to staff to do the running back and forth to get all of this stuff?
Well, I think that question was also part of the year-end report, and we I mean, I can talk with you. Sorry, I didn't know who you are, but I can talk with you. I know mileage for some schools, especially that are rural schools, we can accommodate that into your into here. Sorry, I'm gonna go here. When you do your grocery stores, that could be part of your cost because it's kind of like your delivery cost. If you are in Metro Vancouver or something, just give me a shout and we can chat a little bit about that, because mileage is not really covered under this under the funds. But we know we learned from last year that there were some schools that really don't have anything closer, that they will need to have some extra mileage put it on that. And if that's the case, if you are a rural school, you please put it in here in your grocery stores, in your food supplier. If you are a school in a big city, please give me a call and we can discuss that. Any questions?
We bought a mixer because the mixer we had in our school kitchen went, and we were using it to make buns for the students. Would that be considered a small appliance?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I assuming that the cost is pretty reasonable, right? It's not like 10,000. Okay.
No.
No, I'm saying yes, but then maybe it's like, oh yeah, no, but I got like a no, I yes, anything that is small appliances. Yes, if you buy your, I know schools are buying some microwaves or some small ovens or toasters or all those kind of things. If you already got that ones, please add it here. So yeah. Okay, Janet.
If you're differing from your application significantly, again, check in with your CEO. But a small appliance in this is, it's up to maybe $2,000. If you're over that and it wasn't in your application, then talk to your CEO.
Yes, please. So we can see where you are at. So I know in the last, we have a little meeting a few weeks ago, and I know I talked with some of you asking about specific appliances, but yes, if you have any question about that, please give me a call and we can chat about it. Okay, we're almost done. How everybody's doing? I think we're gonna be able to do it on time. So thank you so much for stay here. So what I'm gonna do is we have now the last part, and the last part is engagement process. And I know these questions are asked over and over and over, but unfortunately we have to respond. So I receive few reports that are not answering these questions. So I will really appreciate if you guys can give me some quick answers, even that will be very nice. I think I can spell appropriate is with double P. I don't know. Okay, I will keep it like that. So I noticed also that this is not working. So I'm sorry about it. I know there's been a lot of glitches in this format. So if it's not working and you are and you are engaging with First Nations and Indigenous people, just leave it like that and then write here your answer. If you are not, that means that there will be empty here and empty here, even that they say, what are your plans? So I wrote here, connecting with parents of our First Nation students to ensure we're providing equal and appropriate support. Sorry, my things are wrong, writing wrong, but I will fix it when I send it back. Okay, and then I have the last two, and here is when you guys can shine and also can write your concerns. So the first one is any other highlights. I wrote very simple things, continuing with our food program, supporting our families and community, achieving success with our cafeteria voucher system, adding more grab and go options. You can write, adding nutritious snacks. If you give me even 2 words, I really appreciate, so we can, show some of the highlights that we are having. I know you can use the ones from you used last time, because you know that, probably your programs are going to continue very successful about it. So please give me some, at least 2 words here. You can copy what I have if that works for your school. And then the barriers, that it was some of what the people been asking and talking about it through the webinar today. So I wrote, for example, staffing, infrastructure, time, the ability of provide high quality food within a budget. I know there are, these are kind of always my highlights when I receive your report. So I just write some examples for you. They could be something else, or they could be nothing yet, because maybe some of you are new in the program. But anything that, you know, if you can support me and give some of the answers, I will really appreciate that. I see a few questions. I don't know if I missed anybody or anything in the chat. I think Janet took care of everything.
I think it's just to reinforce for the recording that because the drop down doesn't work on the one about engaging with First Nations, when you leave it blank, Rocio on her report will know that equals no. And if you put a comment in there, then she knows obviously you have a comment, which means you engaged with your First Nations and you're explaining how you did that. So no, leaving it blank automatically means no.
Yes, thank you, Janet. Yes, that's right. So this is basically the report for Feeding Futures. You will see that everything that is on the gray will give you here your final or your total of how much you have spent in this term. Or so don't worry about it. The gray, I know some of you have, please use the update format or the update template that I sent on Friday, because that will actually populate the sums. The other one was not working. So please, if you can, or if you haven't received it, let me know and I will send it to you. If by any chance you're in the call and you already sent me your report and you're just trying to see, don't worry, I will do it manually when I upload your report. But if you are in this call and you're using, please use the new the template that I sent you on Friday. Any other questions? Anything else?
What about food vouchers where we basically pay for people's hot lunch that they've ordered on our hot lunch site? We haven't, we clear their accounts at Christmas, so we haven't made a payment yet. But would we calculate all the food that we're going to cover up to November 30th on this report, or just only use it when we pay? And where does that go?
Sorry, you will cover that until November 30th. So any actual...
Sorry, Rocio, December 30th.
No,
right?
November 30th.
November 30th. Okay, so
Yes.
then if they're not covering it till Christmas, that will go in their next report.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
But where would that go?
Is that an online system, or is something that you use in your school? Is your cafeteria, or is somebody else giving you the food?
Both.
So if
Like
it's
some
both,
hot lunches are from outside sources and some are made internally.
so that will be different. We will put in organization anything that is coming outside from a caterer or from a restaurant, that will be organization. And then anything that is in you can write it in your food supplier, because that will be your, for example, your teachers buying and preparing on site. So that you can even call it, like I have few schools that call it hot lunch parents or hot lunch school or something like that. So they give it instead, I mean, I'm giving you the big categories, but I know some schools write that. And when I do the counting and the reporting, I present that as a part of the program of the schools. So you can write that. That would be...
So if it's a third party, it goes under the first section here. And if we're making it internally and buying groceries for it, then it goes.
Food supplier, yes. Third party, always organization. If you are doing it on site, it's food supplier.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes. Any other question?
Yeah, one more.
Yes, absolutely, Shane. Yes.
How do we, and again, because I'm technologically challenged at some point, how do I actually send this form to you?
Okay, that's good. So we're gonna do once you have to download it. Remember, please download it from the email, because if not, it's gonna be weird. You're gonna save it as a copy, and then please write the name of your school and your mean code. That will be your school code that you will have it here, like 008. And now another big request that I have for everybody is please add it into a new email. I'm getting 189 from you plus staff from other schools that are not in Feeding Futures. So my inbox is a little bit popular these days. So please send it as a separate email, just yourself. So then it doesn't get lost.
And you're gonna send it to, Rocio, repeat your email address.
It's here, rocio@fisabc.ca. You can see it on the top here.
Yeah.
So yes, please. And what I do is for sure you will get an acknowledge from me. So every time you send me your report, I will review the report. I will make sure that everything makes sense, that your numbers are right. If I have any question, I will right away talk to you. And then I will send you always an acknowledge, like, yes, thank you, I receive it. So and normally that will take me between a day and 2 days, probably, because now I'm getting a little bit more. So if you haven't heard from me, please feel free to follow up and say, hey, Rocio, did you receive my my report? So then I will make sure that I went and arrived. So just be patient, but it normally will take me around a couple days for me to confirm that I receive it. So I'm trying my best to go fast, so you guys can go and enjoy holidays without thinking about Feeding Futures for now.
And
Thank
again,
you
the
very much.
deadline is this Friday, even though the report says it's due on December 31st. Christmas and the other holidays fall into that category. Rocio needs to get all of yours before you head off for break, because she has no access to this information if you don't supply it to her.
Yes, good. And you will get emails from me. So, so that will be, we will try to get faster and done. Anybody else have any other questions? Yes, I
have
hear
one more
somebody
question.
talking. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So this has to do with the garden thing because I'm planning to have a meeting with some people this weekend about it. So I just want to be clear too. If we have to build planter boxes, is that considered tools? Would lumber
The
or
wood,
purchased planter
no.
boxes, could the wood be used?
No, not this year. It will be only the soil that you put inside, the seeds, the little tools that you will use to do it, but not the boxes or not anything else that involve that.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, I know we're very specific about gardens this year. It was a little bit more flexibility last year, but this year is a little bit more because they really want that the money goes to the food more than the garden.
Got you. Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question about the student affordability grant.
Yes, we're gonna move on into that one.
Okay, good.
Yes, yeah. I'm closing for whoever needs to go. I know that
Okay.
it's a little bit, I just want to make sure that all the Feeding Future people, it's ready, it's done. I see my phone ringing and ringing. That means that I'm getting so many reports, and I'm feeling excited about that. So thank you so much. Any other question about Feeding Futures?
I have one. I'm sorry.
Yes, Elena. Oh, hi, nice to see you.
I'm wondering, and I noticed that on yours too, why the amount, it doesn't have a line number, but it's Feeding Futures budget spent on food programs up at the top. The third one down doesn't match the total amount spent.
You are using the old version, the old template.
Oh, I'm using.
So that was the problem that we have with the previous template that I sent the first time. They were not populating, so this number was wrong. And then the adding, it was a little bit awkward and everything. Don't worry, if you already fill everything here, when I'm reviewing, I'm marking the ones who are using the old version, and I will add it manually when I upload this into the database.
Oh, I'll transfer it over before I send it, but thank you. I was confused with that. Thanks.
And Rocio, can you remind people when you sent the fresh copy, was that on last Thursday?
It was on Friday.
It was on Friday.
I send it. Sorry, I'm looking at my email, so I give you exactly. I think the name is update template, Feeding Futures. So let me. Oh, look at that! Like I get so many emails today. And thank you so much. Let me just double check how I send it. And yes, it's called update template. I sent it on Friday at 8 o'clock. Okay.
But if you already did your work in the other template, Lucio's got you. She'll correct anything that needs to be adjusted.
Don't worry. I don't want to put extra work on you guys. That was just a glitch that we're trying to figure out with the ministry, but we were able to fix it. So if you are already done, don't worry. Just send it to me. I will make sure that I upload it properly when it adds. So yes, no problem. Any other question about Feeding Futures? No? Okay. So anybody who is done with this, Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate that you take the time. I know how busy it is. And if I don't see you in person, like now, I wish you the best in the holidays. And I will be in touch with you as soon as I receive your template. And now I'm going to move on very quickly into SWAP because I know some of us have to feel bored of them. So yes, I'm going to move here. And for anybody who is doing this, remember that I'm going to give you a little bit of background because I know it was very confusing and it was a lot of information going last summer. So the swap was done in June 14th. So you got your deposit on June 14th. And when we send the year-end report, the year-end report was talking about sending reporting on June 30th. So it was kind of very similar like now, just 15 days. So a lot of the schools didn't use their money. A lot of the schools carry over the money for this school year. There are again, there is the same as some of the feeding futures. There are schools that haven't spent their money yet. So if you haven't spent your money, what we will write here your amount. This doesn't auto-populate, so you will have to write it. So if you don't know how much you got, please send me an email and I will be happy to give you your allocation. And if you spend your money, this will auto-populate the same as the feeding futures. So I'm going to say that this is my school and that I got 4,500. And I didn't spend anything, so that means that I'm carrying it over from this school year. Then we're going to have different categories, the same as what we've been doing before. It looks exactly the same as what we did on the year-end report. So you may be familiar with this report. There are going to be 3 different categories. The first one is spending on supplies and clothing. And then you will see that if you write here, for example, that I help 56 of my students, and I bought a lot of pens and pencils and markers and all those kind of things, and I spent $300. Your money is going to be changing the same here. This is auto-populate. This is actually pretty good. Formulas are good, so you don't need to worry about this, even with the old version. And let's see that I use some backpacks and also help my 56 kids, and I bought $100. So you will see that my numbers change here. And here, I know will be a bigger number, but that's okay because they are counting how many people do we help with these funds. So this is my first category for everybody who is here. So this is spending on supplies and clothing, okay? If anything that, if you have any other expenses that are not entering in here and also not entering in the others under, then you can write it here. But I think most of us are covering these categories. Any question about this first part? Okay. I'm going to continue with the second one, the second category, that is spending on education-related fees. So this is material and equipment for specialized classes. So anything that is culinary, crafts, music, all those kind of expenses that you may use. The same, this is also back to November 30th. So anything, if you're planning to do it in the following term, you don't need to report in here. I know a lot of the schools are using some money for field trips. So if you are doing field trip in the following year, don't worry, you don't have to report now. So let's see that I'm going to say that I did one cultural event where I help my full school that will be 60 kids. And I spend in that cultural event, I'm going to spend 15. Okay. So my numbers keep changing here. It's very easy. You don't need to do math or anything. That's always grateful when we have these kind of templates. And this is the part that I really want to emphasize because that's when they get very confusing for people who is using both fundings. So the spending others are gift cards as a staff. So remember that you may have some grocery gift cards from your feeding futures. These are completely different cards. If you're using cards as a staff, these are not the same. It shouldn't be the same amount. Probably will be different amount. I mean, you may have the same amount, but I mean, it's a different purpose, okay? So your feeding futures cards is a grocery card. That's called grocery card. And your staff is called gift card. So if you're using gift cards for your staff, let's say that you maybe provide a superstore gift card because the families can buy some clothing, some shoes, some materials from schools, all those kind of things, that will enter here. Nothing that is related with food goes in this template. No food goes in this template. Everything that is food, you will put it in here. This is only for other kind of supplies. So I have a question this morning with a principal saying, what about if I buy grocery card for Walmart for my Feeding Futures, but also gift card from Walmart from my staff? You can buy the same store, but ones are for groceries, ones are for staff. So remember to keep it separate, okay? We will call grocery cards in Feeding Futures, we will call gift cards for staff. And then let's see that I help 10 of my students with 2,000 here. Oh, actually, I'm going to be over, but I will say that I will help $500. I will change this. I will say I help 5 of my students. And then will be also third-party programs and other support. So I think what I see so far on the reports is a lot of the people are using their money in here, and a lot of the people are using money in field trips and in gift cards. But if any of these categories doesn't cover you, remember to put it in other supports or other. If you feel that, oh, this doesn't really enter in any of these categories, so just feel free to put it here. And then we're going to have all these numbers are going to add, and then we're going to have the same questions that we have in our other report. That is, if you are engaging with First Nations and other indigenous groups, and also how you are engaging. So what I did is I actually copy and paste my answer from here, and I just use the same because probably you guys are doing exactly the same in both as a engagement. So this is a little bit more straightforward in a sense that categories are a little bit more like explanatory per se, but also we have a lot of different categories. So please just make sure that you report anything that you spend, and if you haven't spent, remember to just write me here your final allocation. So that means that we know that you haven't spent any money. So I know there, I was very quick in this one because I also want to be mindful about your timing and everything, but please ask me questions so we can go, because sometimes I don't see things that you see when you're filling it out. So any questions about this?
I have one question regarding staff. What is the last day when we can spend all money on students?
That will be,
for example, field trips. We have finished only first term, and there are more field trips coming. So how will we go with that?
yes, the same as Feeding Futures, this will be June 30th. You can spend all your money until June 30th. So that's why I know some schools are not reporting right now expenses because they haven't used it yet. But
we
yes.
have used some. We have used about $6,000 altogether, but we still need to use it whenever the kids need money.
Yes, of course. Yes. So you have until June 30th to spend your money.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So we have students who we are helping them go to sporting events. Would that fall under a field trip, or would that be other?
Are there sporting events that take place during the school day, like they're on a school team?
Yeah, like there was a big elementary track and field run in September. So parents bring their kids to another town, but they're part of the school. That's like they wore our colors and everything. And then they give the school money to pay for it. And then any students who couldn't afford it, we just paid for it so they could still go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Rosie, I'll let you answer. I have my idea, but I want to hear yours.
I will say that will enter as a field trip.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
Hi, Rosie and Janet. It's Melissa of Angels. Hi.
Nice to see you.
You too. Because there's a quick turnaround here, and while we try and keep track of everything, thanks to kind of experience from last year's surveys and input, there are a number of different areas that we're getting those receipts from or spending from. So if we miss something, we'll do our very best. If, you know, an invoice comes in that we realize hadn't made it onto the spreadsheet that was from the end of November, is that something that then can get cleared up at year end if it's added on after? Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I mean, we're gonna try to be as accurate as we can, but of course there will be the year end, and then the year end is when we're gonna have a lot of more information. So yes, if something goes miss, you know, that's what it is, and we're gonna try to report it when it's the year end. So don't worry about it. And I know sometimes invoices come at the end of the month or something like that, and you're still working on that. So yes, don't worry about it. Yes. Any other questions? Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, I put one in the chat. I was just wondering, I think I'm using the 23-24 funding. When is the 24-25 funding SFAF? When do you apply for that?
There's not gonna be an application this year anymore. So what happened was that it was a one-time last summer. So we are not expecting to get SFAF anymore for this school year. So any of the fundings that you receive that you carry over, that will be your last year.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? I love that you guys are asking me questions. Haven't checked. Did I miss anything? No. Janet is amazing, doing a lot of work in the chat. Thank you. Anybody else? Anything else that we're missing? I see the chat coming. Okay, yes, I have good news. They say that yes, Feeding Futures will continue. So that's always very you know, it's good. We know that it was part of the project, and now it looks like we will be continuing this, so people can feel a little bit more relief about that. So yes.
And Rosie, I could be wrong, but I think the original promise was for 3 years, and we're in year 2 about the Feeding Future. So we're quite assured that it will carry forward next year. Of course, nobody knows their notion allocation yet. That's based on student count. It's the year after next year, the 26-27, that we're not as certain, but we're getting good indications that it will continue.
I have one question regarding number 28, student society meetings. So what is included in that? So, but we can.
Yeah. I have few people who is getting together to, you know, some of the students get together to create a newsletter or something like that, and then that will be. But I don't know if I'm answering right, Janet. Maybe do you have a better understanding?
It's basically school-sponsored clubs. If there's a cost to the student to participate, like if you had a, you know, I don't know, yearbook, and they had to pay for a camera in order to be the photographer on the yearbook, then this could be covered under that. It's an interesting wording when they say society, but basically it's things that your school is running that to participate, kids may have to have an extra cost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes they'll have it with cooking, after school cooking programs and different events like that.
But the thing to really keep in mind is it needs to be done through the school. It's not that they're doing it, you know, from a different agency.
For example, we have after school tutoring. Some parents, they cannot afford. Can we add that fees in it? Which they pay.
Tutoring is very interesting, and of course I know very well how well you support the students. Sean, what do you think about school-sponsored after-school tutoring?
Yeah, that's a little difficult. I wish the answer would just roll off my tongue.
We may have to do some thinking on this one, and maybe even ask government. Because it's not really a student society, and it's not really a club, but since it's more individual support. We'll have to get back to you.
Yeah, one is student council, they have meetings. And, for example, they arrange some programs in the school and they need, things to be bought from the stores. Can we add those, whatever? For example, robotic kits, they
Yes,
want
student-
kits and all.
Student council, yes, but keep in mind, it's supposed to be for the families that you would charge them typically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that the school
Got
would
it, got it.
charge the family and then you can support families that aren't able to pay for that.
Mhm.
It gets a little complicated pretty fast.
Yeah. It's meetings, the word meetings, I was thinking maybe it's a student council or after school something. So it's all clear to me now. I understood.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And the question about the bonus cards from the grocery gift cards, in the sense that if you buy a certain dollar amount, they give you a bonus card. Mauricio, correct me if I'm wrong, that doesn't need to go into this calculation because you're not funding it from this thing. So anybody who's in that situation, distribute that bonus card out as you wish, but it's not being funded because you're not paying for it. It's not being funded, so it doesn't go into the calculations.
Yeah. We only need to know how much is from your funding. So yes, thank you, Janet. Absolutely. Yes, Melissa.
Yeah,
Could
how do we
Steve
get the
let us, sorry, could Steve let us know where he got 1,200 in bonus cards, please?
Steve, share.
Yeah, so we already have a fundraising program in our school where we buy grocery cards and sell them to families or community members, and so you earn, say, 5% or 8% on that. So basically, if you buy a larger amount, depending on the store, they'll give you a certain percentage, and you can ask for that as a reduced fee or as bonus cards. And so this time we happened to go with Save On because they gave us 8%. So we said we'll take 14,000 and they gave us 15,200. And so that's what we're giving out to families. But yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. That's always good tips. Thank you, Stephen.
But Steve, just to make it really clear, so you're only going to report on the 14,000 that you expended, not the 15,000 that you then shared among families.
Yes.
You bet.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Any other questions? No, I don't see. Sorry, I'm gonna try to open my chat just to make sure. Okay, perfect, good. Okay. I don't see any more questions. And I already took extra 20 minutes from you guys, but I appreciated that you stay because it's always good that we all can chat and learn from each other. So it's always very nice for me to see you guys. I know that I always make you work harder in the last days in a rushing time, but I really appreciate that you help me and cooperate with this so we all can put together this. I always available here, guys. I'm come from 8:30 to 4. Please give me a call if you have any questions. I'm happy to talk to you guys. Email me. Always it's nice to listen to your voices. And please just reach out. And anytime, not just about reporting, I like to hear your stories and everything. So if I don't see you, I know for sure I'm gonna, reply to your report. But if I don't see you, I just wish you the best. Good holidays. Enjoy, rest, recharge. And I will be back again with more fun things next term. And reach out if you need help. Okay? Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye, Rocio and Janet. Thanks a lot.
Very nice seeing you.